You've heard the saying, April showers bring May flowers. If co-parenting has been difficult this year due to your ex's alcohol abuse, you need SoberLink. How it works is simple. Your co-parent will test at scheduled times. Built-in facial recognition will confirm their identity. Tampa sensors will flag any attempts to cheat, and results will get sent instantly to your phone, so you know that your kids are with a sober parent. Lay the groundwork for brighter days ahead. Visit soberlink.com/JBD to learn more and get $50 off your device. Hey folks, welcome back to another episode of Karen's Solos. I'm talking about the power shift today, from imbalance to empowerment in high conflict divorce. Today we're addressing the power imbalance in your marriage. If you're standing at the edge of high conflict divorce, recognizing not just the overt challenges, but also the subtle dynamics that have held you back in your marriage, this episode is for you. Today, we're delving deep into the power imbalances that pervade troubled or toxic marriages, understanding not only the manipulative behaviors and black and white thinking of others, but also reflecting on your contribution to these dynamics by exploring your tolerances, tendencies, and triggers. We aim to break the cycle that leads to repeated patterns in relationships, setting the stage for real transformation and empowerment. So let's dive into that a little bit. The first thing I find is when I talk about high conflict marriage, I get a lot of pushback because I'm not high conflict, they're high conflict. And there's this sense that it's not fair. It puts the burden on both parties. And I think that's a really important issue to address right off the bat, because the burden, in my humble opinion, is absolutely on both parties. I tend not to, and you'll notice this, talk about, the narcissist and the borderline personality and these evil people and how horrible they are. Now, I will say to you, I have been in a high conflict marriage. It was incredibly displeasing. His behaviors were very hard for me. They caused a lot of pain and upset for both me and my children. But for me to get to where I am today would never have happened had I not looked in the mirror and said, what did I bring to the table? Why was I attracted to somebody like this? And of course, the first thing is, well, they're a narcissist. And so there was all of this love bombing, and I was put on a pedestal. And so I just didn't know. I've yet to speak to a client who hasn't, in a quiet moment of reflection, who hasn't been able to say, yeah, there were red flags. I absolutely abandoned myself, my concerns, what I saw, and I talked myself out of it. Because for me, one of my big things was, well, Karen, you're about to stand in front of an altar and say, for better or for worse, until death do I part. And so what are you going to bail at the first sign? If I was able to speak to my younger self now, I would say yes. If not bail, slow down, get quiet, pay attention, and take the time to make sure that this flag you're seeing isn't your future experience. It was my future experience. I saw many flags. For me, it was a little bit like the grand finale on the 4th of July. There were a lot of flags. They were very big. They were bright. They were colorful. I was not a kid. I was 34 years old. And still, because of my childhood, because of my past romantic relationships, because of all of my experience, I stayed. I got married. I rolled up my sleeves. I believed I could change him and fix it, the whole time not looking at me. And so today is about, how do you deal with this power imbalance? How do you level the playing field? Especially if you're in the high conflict marriage, you're scared to step into divorce one of the very first things that really needs to happen has nothing to do with saying you want a divorce or changing your living circumstances. It has to do with reflecting on where you came from and what you bring to the table. And so if in fact you're a generous-hearted person, learning the difference between taking care of loved ones from a healthy place of love and desire to serve and support, and being codependent and taking care of everybody else's needs from a very different emotional energy of uh, trying to do more so that you get some, trying to keep him or her from being angry at you or reacting to you, or trying to stay safe. All of that's coming from a very different emotional energy than if you choose, for instance, to ditch your plans because your adult child is moving and you want to help them move into the apartment. Like, that is a place of love and caretaking that is healthy. And so leveling the playing field requires each of us to look in the mirror to say, what am I bringing to the table? What are the experiences I have with my spouse that are similar to experiences I had as a child with my mom or dad? Did I have an explosive parent? And so I hid in my bedroom and I got quiet and I acted like a good girl or a good boy? Did I have a parent who would shut down and withdraw? And I found myself in a marriage with someone who's passive aggressive and gives me the silent treatment. Like, what experiences did I have that I am now rehabbing in my marriage? And where am I yearning to be different? For me, um, a lot of people would say I wasn't conflict averse, but in some ways I had a lot of fear around conflict. And so the way I handled it was very reactive. So that didn't serve our marriage. I definitely had a codependent and people-pleasing tendencies. I was an absolute perfectionist. And so anytime I was criticized, I never looked at whether or not that criticism was accurate. I just went right to working on myself. I'll work on myself more. And so leveling the playing field involves saying, um, let me start with what happens between my ears. What are my beliefs? What do I believe about myself? What do I believe about my worthiness or my right and to have healthy love, to receive healthy love from my partner? What are my perspectives on my spouse and what he or she is doing versus what I yearn for, and start even listing those. And so this idea of leveling the playing field is about saying, what am I bringing to the table? What are the experiences? What are the shortcomings, the insecurities, the judgment, the unforgiveness? Like, what is all of my stuff? And when you start doing that, the first thing that happens probably is your inner critic starts beating you up. And so this leveling the playing field has to happen from a higher level of emotional energy, from a place of self-love and self-forgiveness. And that may be where you begin. You may say, I don't love myself. I don't forgive myself. I'm really hard on myself. Those are things we can change. Every day we wake up and we get to decide, who do I want to be today? How do I want to be today? And so leveling the playing field before you even bring up the D word or worry about all of the logistics is about leveling the playing field, about you building your self-worth, your self-esteem, noticing your reactivity and starting to slow down, calm that down, create the pause, think about what you're about to say before you say it, walk out of the room, and setting boundaries comes right after that. And so I have a free guide for you. It's a fresh start guide. And what it does is it gives you 3 powerful steps to begin looking at your part in this dance, this dysfunctional dance, and changing the dynamic. And you can do that without saying boo about whether you're staying or going in the marriage, and begin to see how by you changing in small ways, you can see changes starting to happen, ripple. And that ripple may end up getting worse or better. It's not about how they behave or how they react to you. It's how you feel about yourself. And so if you start speaking your mind, if you start setting some boundaries, if you take some time so that you're not so reactive, so you're not the one who looks chaotic and conflict oriented, you're going to feel better about yourself. And as you do that, you're going to start seeing a balance come into play. It'll take some time. Step one, baby step, is to get this fresh start guide. So go to jbddivorcesupport.com/break free. Download your free guide. It's a couple of pages. It's 3 powerful steps, and it'll get you started on this path of leveling the playing field, addressing the power imbalance, so that you can think clearly and make really discerning choices about what's next for your marriage, yourself, and your children. I hope you found value in this. I will see you again in our next Karen Solos. Until then, you take care. You've been listening to our podcast, Getting Educated, Regulating Your Emotional Reactions, and it's been really helpful. Yet you know you could do better, be better, and you're wanting and needing more support. That's where our coaching service is a game changer. We're here for you when you need us the most, ensuring you have all the tools and resources at your fingertips, guiding and supporting you to be more effective. Our free rapid relief call helps you gain a broader perspective, commit to your best next steps, and determine what coaching support is right for you. Visit rapidreliefcall.com to book your call today. Thanks for joining us on the Journey Beyond Divorce podcast. I hope you found guidance and encouragement to help you along your journey. If you like my podcast, please take a minute to subscribe and leave a review on iTunes. You can also visit us at jbddivorcesupport.com, where our team of coaches support both men and women through our one-on-one coaching, group programs, online courses, and free resources. Stay tuned for our next episode, and I'll talk to you soon.